तस्सायेव तन्हाय अशेष विराग निरोध जागो पटिनिस्सग्गो मुक्तियनालयो इदं खोपन भिक्खवे इदं खोपन भिक्खवे दुःख निरोधगामिनी पटिपदा अरिय सत्यम् अयमेव अरियो अट्ठङ्गिको मग्गो सेयत्थिदम् सम्मादिट्ठि सम्मा संकल्पो सम्मा वाचा सम्मा कम्मन्तो सम्मा आजीवो सम्मा वायामो अट्ठङ्गिको मग्गो सेयत्थिदम् सम्मादिट्ठि सम्मा वाचा सम्मा कम्मन्तो सम्मा आजीवो.
We now move to the first segment of today's program, which is on Buddhist linkages between India and Thailand. One of the strongest bonds between India and Thailand is that of Buddhism. It is therefore pertinent to further strengthen this bond and bring the two peoples closer. The Embassy of India and the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre have been very proactive in this regard. A couple of important events were conducted this year. On the occasion of International Vesak Day, our centre organised a webinar on perspectives on Buddhism. We had invited 6 Buddhist scholars, Thai scholars, to present on topics ranging from Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, Buddhist tour circuits in India and Thailand, art and architecture in India and Thailand. This webinar video is available on our social media handles. Yet another event was a virtual conference organised jointly by the International Buddhist Confederation and Indian Council for Cultural Relations. They jointly organised 9 regional conferences in October and November this year in collaboration with different academic partners. Thailand was one of the chosen countries. The Thailand Regional Conference was jointly hosted by the International Buddhist Confederation and Thammasat University in collaboration with ICCR on 7th October. The theme of the conference was Buddhism and Sustainable Development. The ambassador to Thailand, Her Excellency Ms. Suchitra Durai, was a guest of honor and she delivered the opening remarks at the conference. In continuation of these efforts to highlight our strong ties, the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre has developed content on India-Thailand Buddhist linkages in a simple format in Thai and English language. The content includes the life and teachings of Buddha, Lord Buddha, a brief history of Buddhism in Thailand, Buddhist art and architecture, Buddhist academic institutions, Buddhist tour circuit, festivals, etc. We are hosting this content on a kiosk set up specifically for this purpose. It is right outside this auditorium. We hope that students from schools and universities can visit our center and learn more about the Buddhist linkages between India and Thailand. To inaugurate this kiosk on Buddhist linkages between India and Thailand, I would like to request Madam Ambassador to kindly come forward and do the honors. I would also like to invite Dr. Sombat Magmi Suksiri and Dr. Junchalat Aranyanak and Dr. Kritsana Saisuni to please come forward.
Professor Junchalat, Dr. Sombat Mangmi Suksiri, Mr. Kritsana Saisuni, Mr. Satit, members of the various Indian community organizations present here, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, namaskar, sawadee ka. I'm really delighted that all of you have taken the effort to come all the way to the center. The center has been extremely active despite the COVID-19 pandemic. The center has operated most of the time virtually, and that has in fact increased its outreach to newer segments in Thailand, and also of course in other parts of the world, because that's the nature of the online medium. But having said that, there is no substitute to physical on-site programs, and the beauty and the extent of that engagement happens when there is a physical interaction. So this is indeed a very fortuitous event for us. As has been mentioned by the director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, Aparna Patwardhan, we have a very long history of cultural linkage between our two countries. This spans religious links, of course, also cultural and linguistic links. So we have many things which bring us together, and these social and cultural interactions happened over millennia, if not actually centuries. And it happened primarily because we are both Indian Ocean countries, and people from both sides have traveled to each other's lands. New ideas, new thoughts, new ways of looking at issues happened, in fact, through trade, which was not just an exchange of goods, but also an exchange of ideas and beliefs and thoughts. And also, of course, these thoughts also resulted in the propagation of new ideas, including of spirituality and religion, which is why I think this kiosk, which has been put together by the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, will play an important role in actually showcasing, particularly to the younger generation, in a manner which is easily understood by them, of what these cultural linkages are. We also have, of course, tourism in the modern era, which enhances these people-to-people links. Before, of course, COVID-19 happened, we had about 300 flights every week. And we hope, we are working very, very closely with the Thai authorities to resume these flights, and we are hopeful that soon we will have an air bubble in place. I do not wish to predict the actual date of that, because there are some issues which have to be worked out, but it is expected to happen very soon. And this will ensure that our cultural exchange also gets enhanced. This year is a very special year for us, which is because we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of our independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And also the coming year is equally important in the context of India-Thailand relations, because it happens to be the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two sides. So you can watch this space, because we are planning many events, and we hope that you will join us. So the regular pilgrimages have been a very important aspect of our cultural relations. There have been, of course, pilgrimages to Buddhist sites in India by a large number of Thai people. But, it's also true that apart from spirituality, Buddhism has also contributed to a very rich legacy of art and architecture in both countries. So while Buddhist pilgrim centers such as Bodh Gaya, Kapilavastu, Sarnath, Kaushambi, Shravasti, Kushinagar provide spiritual solace. The beautiful art and architecture which is found, for example, in the Ajanta and Ellora caves, or the great stupa of Sanchi, they are testimony to the art that Buddhism has inspired. Similarly, in Thailand as well, you have many temples such as that of the Emerald Buddha, the Wat Po, and the beautiful murals and art which is dedicated to Lord Buddha. And these have elevated the ideas of Buddhism. And not only are they seen in Bangkok, but they are there in all parts of Thailand. So it is in this context that the government of India has, thought it appropriate to reinforce these strong links and to have these, linkages to be celebrated by both sides. So I'm very happy that we have this, resource kiosk which has been set up. I'm also very happy that we are also having a dance performance, a dance drama performance on Katyayani. As some of you would be aware, Katyayani is one of the many forms of goddess Parvati, the female power Shakti, and I look forward to it being performed. I think it's been conceptualized by Mr. Kritsana Saisuni, and I believe that it follows the principles of Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, but it is of course presented in the classical dance form of Thailand. So that will show a very interesting, fusion of ideas between the two sides. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad. Kapunka.
I would like to invite Dr. Sombat Mangmi Suksiri now to speak on the Buddhist linkages between India and Thailand. Dr. Sombat is the Managing Director of the Sanskrit Studies Center, Faculty of Archaeology, Silpakorn University. He's also been a Buddhist monk and he's a Buddhist scholar. I would like to invite Dr. Sombat, please, to come.
Her Excellency Suchitra Durai, the Ambassador of India to Thailand, Dr. Aparana Pattawarathan, the Director of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, Bangkok, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and Swaddi Krab. First of all, I would like to thank Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre for providing me with the opportunity to speak about the Buddhism, which is the focus of my study and my life. And I am delighted to be with you all this evening. For my talk, I would like to give a very brief history of early Buddhism. I will also share some of my thoughts and how Buddhism came to Thailand and Buddhism as a link between India and Thailand. Distinguished guests, let me start with a brief history of early Buddhism. More than 26 centuries ago, Lord Buddha preached to his followers in India subcontinent, known as Jambudvipa in the later Pali text, where the Vedic religions or Sanatana Dharma was dominant at that time. Within 45 years of his enlightenment, Lord Buddha's teachings were gradually accepted by the public as a new religious movement and were firmly established as Buddhism. His most important teaching is the Four Noble Truths, the path of liberation or nirvana or nibbana in Pali language. Which four are they? They are suffering or dukkha. And the second one is the origins of the suffering or samudaya. The third one is the cessation of suffering or nirodha. And the last one is how to get liberation or the cessation of suffering. These Four Noble Truths can be summed up in a single word as Venerable Asachi told Upatissa, or the later known as Sariputta, the Lord Buddha great disciple. The words read that Ye dhamma hetu prabhava te sam hetum tatha kato Te sanja yo nirodho ja evam vati mahasramano. The English translation of this verse is as follows. Of those phenomena which arise from causes, those causes have been taught by the Tathagata or the Buddha, and their cessation too thus proclaims the great aesthetics. Buddhism was initially regarded as a religion rather than a philosophy during the time of Lord Buddha, because Buddha's teaching aimed at liberation rather than intelligent scholar debate. Lord Buddha never answered philosophical or metaphysical questions, only those leading to liberation. However, as time passed, particularly in the second half of the first millennium of Common Era, Buddhism was gradually brought into the light of philosophical debate and interpretation by scholarly monks, particularly in Mahayana Buddhism. Some topics of discussion that Lord Buddha prohibited, such as, is the world or the universe finite or non-finite? And are the soul and body the same or different? Monks gradually accepted these questions as the main topics of their study. Their study of Buddha's teaching gradually progressed from visible phenomena to conceptual expression. One of the reasons for this situation was to protect themselves and criticize some philosophical concepts of rival religions that were prevalent throughout the Indian subcontinent at that time. This Buddhist monk's gesture was remarkably successful in keeping Buddha's teaching popular and as focal point of Buddhist study. As a result, Buddhist philosophy was prevalent throughout India and was constantly brought to Central Asia and China via the Silk Road by scholarly monks and traders. This school of Buddhist philosophy focused primarily on explaining philosophical concepts, particularly those forbidden by the Lord Buddha, as mentioned above. This branch of Buddhism evolved into one of the two major streams of Buddhism and was dubbed as Mahayana Buddhism. Now in China, Korea and Japan, it was accepted and practiced. Her Excellency and distinguished guests, allow me to share my thought on how Buddhism came to Thailand. According to evidence found in Buddhist texts written in Pali language, Buddhism was brought to Suvarnabhumi, or this region, or the Indo-China continent, including present-day Thailand, by two missionary monks named Sona and Uttara, who were sent by King Ashoka in the 3rd century before Common Era. The words Ye Dhamma that I just recite was very popular in this area and can be found on some stupa, bricks and stone inscriptions in the present-day central Thailand, particularly in Nakhon Pathom province, which is about 60 kilometers west of Bangkok. Some scholars believe that during the first millennium of Common Era, this region was commonly known as Dwaravati, the great city of Lord Krishna, one of the Lord Vishnu avatars. But the belief and major religions of the people here were clearly Buddhism. Although the continuation of Buddhism in the regions after the first millennium of the Common Era was questioned due to the enormous influences of other Indian religion, that is Hinduism, which dominate in this region from much more than 8 centuries, particularly in the ancient kingdom of Khmer people, which was gradually established in the 5th century Common Era until its end in the 13th century Common Era. Even during the brief reign of some kings who professed to be Buddhist, they were mostly Mahayana Buddhist. Following the fall of the ancient Khmer kingdom, the Thai people, an ethnic group, gradually migrate from southern Guangxi region of the modern China to establish their small kingdom known in Pali loanwords as Sukhothai, which means the dawn of happiness. Theravada Buddhism is an unavoidable component of the establishment of the Thai kingdom because Buddhism can reunite and relink the Thais who were dispersed from the south of China into a strong ethnic group. Thailand has been the home of Theravada Buddhism since the Sukhothai period then, and the Thais have adapted and adopted Buddhism to fit their way of life, including some seasonal practices and teachings. With the passage of time, Buddhism gradually merged with local belief and became a part of Thai society. For example, the Wax Candle Festival is held every year in Ubon Ratchathani province in Thailand, northeastern Thailand. The traditional Wax Candle Festival is the most well-known festival in Ubon Ratchathani province. It is celebrated annually on the 15th day of the first fortnight of Asal month, or the 8th lunar month in Thai calendar. The festival's origins can be traced back to Buddhist Pali texts as the monk practice of rain resident or Buddhist Lent. Lord Buddha decreed that during the 3 months of the rainy season, all Buddhist monks must stay at the same monastery and are not permitted to stay overnight anywhere other than his monastery. Historically, laymen and laywomen were expected to support monks' specific practice by providing them with all necessary items such as bathing clothes and textbooks, as well as candle to be used for reading at night. This practice has evolved from its humble beginnings to become the main event of the Wax Candle Festival in Ubon Ratchathani province today. There are many Thai ways of life that are influenced by Buddha's teaching, such as compassion or karuna, generosity or dana, and so on. As a result, the Thais have become more distinct among the various ethnic groups in this region. Even today, Buddhism is less important in its homeland, that is India, but it is still more important for India and Thailand as a cultural link between the two countries. According to the Tripitaka, the main sacred text of Buddhism, the Buddha himself told his disciples that after his death, Buddhists should make a pilgrimage to the 4 holy places, namely Lumbini, his birthplace, Bodh Gaya, and the place of his enlightenment, Saranath, the place of his preaching the first sermon, and Kushinaga, the place of his death. Recently, the Indian government established major projects to promote Buddhist tourism in Buddhist holy places or on the Buddhist circuit in India. The number of Thai Buddhist pilgrims who want to visit these holy places is growing day by day. Thus, the Indian government's gesture will benefit all Indians and Thais in general, as well as strengthen the cultural tie between India and Thailand in particular. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
ดลักประภัยพักพองพูดที่สุดสีนายเนตรดังเนตรพระนราชนั้นมีเสียวจานเกษาหนุ่มสลวยสวยสยายโอดยิ้มพริมพรานงามกว่าธิดาเทพเทวันผิวพรรณสุวรรณช้างยาสบายทรงปักสุวรรณขันสลักฮิรันรับจับลายวิเลขาผู้สานุ่งจีบกรายพรายตาทั้งธนิมพิมพาศาสตร์อันมหิทธานุภาพดังเพลิงกันอาจประจันอสุราสาธาน
เพนนงนุดสุดสางงามยิ่งกว่านางทุกสถานกำเริบรักหนักอุราหุ่นมานโลดเลี้ยวเกี่ยวพานชมการดา
ชิดติดพันเฮียนหันตานติดด้วยฤทธิ์ธรรมที่พลากาสอนนอนลงพระบาททรงเหยียบยันไม่คอยทรงตรีศูนย์ปักลงตรงอุรามหิงสาดาวดินสิ้นชีวิต
I'd like to thank all the guests and the virtual audience for your presence on this occasion. Once again, I'd like to invite students from schools and universities to visit our center and make use of our digital resources on Buddhist linkages between India and Thailand. It is available in Thai and English languages. Once again, thank you everyone for attending the program. Thank you.
idam khopana bhikkhave dukkha nirodhagamini patipada ariya satcham ayameva